Hello and welcome to Saturday. We did it again. We watched another season. It's that time. Time for Dragon Ball Z Season 7 review. Thank you for putting that directly in front of my face. Before we go any further, what is the best season of Dragon Ball Z?
7.
Okay, that's what I felt also. And I just wanted to get that out of the way first before we even move forward with any of this. It was my favorite season.
Mine too.
So really quickly, what single aspect made it your favorite?
The fun filler.
Well, it wasn't filler.
It felt like
but
filler.
it felt like filler. It was fun.
There's been no big enemies, nothing.
It's a lot more lighthearted, and just the season as a whole is a lot more lighthearted and jovial than some of the past seasons. And
I spent most of the season feeling like I was watching a different anime.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that after 6 seasons of it was just a really nice thing. Anyway, as we always do, would you like to give us the Mallory recap of the season?
Well, it starts off with Goku in the other world.
Correct.
And King Kai his planet's blowing up and dead, and they're like, well, let's go see... What's the name of the big guy?
Grand Kai.
The Grand Kai. They're like, let's go see the Grand Kai. So they go see the Grand Kai, and he's like, let's put on a tournament, because I'm wild and crazy. So they put on a tournament, and Goku makes it to the finals, and then the winner gets to have a training lesson with
the Grand Kai.
The Grand Kai.
Yeah.
The one that seems like he's crazy hippie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And at the very last minute, he's like, oh shoot, I can't give them a training lesson, I'm not that good. So he determines they both broke the rules and tied. So if anyone ever in the other world trains enough, they get a lesson. So he's like, well, I'll reduce the amount of time you have to train.
Yeah.
To like 1,000 years or something.
Yeah, it's there. You pretty much got it. He fights Pycon.
Yeah.
Which is somewhat notable, and also there's a part where like all of the people are in hell and they're acting up, and like Frieza and King Cold and Cell are down there.
And then they're like, Pycon, go over there and take care of them.
So Pycon just like takes care of everybody with like doing this.
And then all the bad people are in hell and jail, and they're like,
Did you know that entire Otherworld tournament was filler?
I felt like it was.
It was. None of that is in the manga. All of that Otherworld tournament is just in the anime. And honestly, I actually kind of like it. It's a really weird tournament. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not a real tournament. It's super, super far from serious fighting or anything.
There's like a whole episode where they're like, Goku, are you going to watch Pycon fight? He's like, no, I gotta eat. So he eats the entire match.
Yeah.
He just
and then there's one where they fight a caterpillar named Caterpie.
Yeah, and then it turns into Metapod, and they're like, well, how long is he in Metapod state? And they're like, oh, like a long, long, long time.
Like 1,000 years or something.
Well, Goku will just win.
Anyway, so that happens. That starts out with that filler, and it's not bad, but it is, I think, the lowest part of the season.
Yeah. I
feel like that's pretty good, considering that it's really not that bad, but that is the lowest part of the season. But once you get past that, everything is just...
So then we go back to regular world.
Regular world, yes.
And Gohan is like 17, 18. Mm-hmm. And we find out that Goku and Chi-Chi had another kid, like, right before he died, or...
Yeah.
Conceived the baby then. And it's Goten.
Yes. And what was your reaction? Because... there's been characters that have been revealed that you go, oh, I've seen that character.
Yeah.
Goten was not one of them.
No,
Mallory had
Goten
no idea
existed.
that Goten existed.
Because if I would have seen him as a figurine or something,
I
would have thought it was Goku or something.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I knew that was going to surprise you, so I was really excited for that reveal. And I couldn't remember how they revealed Goten, and it's very nonchalant.
Yeah.
And actually, there's a few episodes where they don't reveal him. Mm-hmm. Where Gohan is going off to high school, and I kept thinking, where the crap is Goten? I know he's here. And then suddenly, like, he's just in the kitchen, and Goten walks out and is like, Mom, I got a fish! And Mal's like, what?
Yeah.
And then it just kind of pauses, and the narrator comes in and is like, by the way, there's another one. He's 7. All right, let's move on. So that was a little weird, but it was fun to see Mal's reaction to that because I kept wanting to know, like, it was like, when is Goten gonna show up? And there he was. So yeah, go ahead.
So Gohan's going to high school because he wants to be a normal boy.
And well, just in general, he's, since the time of peace has happened, he actually has been studying like his mom asked.
And so he's going to high school, but like he's trying to like be secretive about it because like everyone thinks Mr. Satan defeated Cell.
Yes.
So he's going to high school, and it turns out like this girl that's going there is Mr. Satan's daughter, Videl. And so he's trying to be secretive, but he finds out she's kind of like this crime-fighting...
Almost a superhero.
Yeah. And so he decides he's going to do that too, but he has to be secretive about it. So he goes to Bulma, and he's like, Bulma, there's this girl, help me. So she makes up this costume.
I actually think, I can't remember now, but I feel like he does the Saiyaman thing even before he meets Videl, maybe.
No, because he met Videl on his first day when he was the golden-haired fighter.
Oh, is that it? Okay.
And then he decided he needed an identity to hide out, so if he was gonna, like, save someone again, like, she wouldn't recognize him.
Yeah, you're right, because she was like, he'll need help, and then he, like, you know, obviously didn't. Okay, yes. Yeah, you're right.
So he plays superhero for a bit.
For a long bit.
Yeah, for a long bit.
And even...
He goes on a date.
There's a lot of... I mean, it's kind of hard to pinpoint every single thing that happened. Some of the more notable things that stuck out to me, like... He was in high school and they played baseball. Yeah. And like he goes to catch the ball and he jumps like 40 feet in the air. He's just floating there. And whenever he comes down, the coach is like, "That's a good arm you got on there, boy. You jumping up there." I don't know. A lot of the stuff that's in those episodes where it's just following Gohan going to school are hilarious and ridiculous and really
It was
funny.
like some different anime.
Yeah, it does. It feels like, completely different.
Are we turning into a school anime? Like, are we going to have a culture fair episode?
It kind of does, because, I mean, seasons 1 through 5, and if you want to include Dragon Ball also, it'd be the first 10 seasons, are all about Goku. And then season 6 is the transition where the story is going from, it's always Goku saving everyone, to then it's like, actually Gohan is the important character now. And then season 7 is starting as it's the story. The story is now about Gohan because Goku's dead. Yeah. So he does the school thing, and then finally
she starts to find out who he is. And she's like, "You got to teach me how to fly."
Yeah. Oh.
Did I miss something?
Well, about at the same time, he went to train with Goten, and Goten was like, "Can I become Super Saiyan now?"
Yeah, like you. He's like you?
And Gohan's like, "Well, buddy, that takes years and years of practice." And he's like, "No, I can do it. It's just Mom just doesn't like it." And he's like, "What are you talking about?" They just become Super Saiyan. But he can't fly.
Yeah, he can't fly. And he's like, "Well, you gotta teach me to fly." And he's like, "Well, I gotta give Videl lessons."
And then there's one other moment, I think in the same episode or the next episode, where it shows Trunks training with Vegeta. And
I know where you're going.
I know, it's really great. He's training with Vegeta, and they're in the gravity room, like 100 times the gravity, and he's
Trunks is like, "This would be so much easier if I could Super Saiyan like you, Dad." And then he's like, "Roar," and he's Super Saiyan.
And then there's a line, I'm not going to remember exactly what the line is, but it's the greatest line in the entire show.
Vegeta goes, "Tell me, can Goku's boy do this too?" And he's like, "Yeah."
And then he's like, what does he say exactly?
Is it like they're just handing out Super Saiyan?
He says it's like, I think he says, what? He says, "It's been reduced to a child's plaything. Is Super Saiyan just part of a bargain bin sale?" Something about like a bargain bin sale. And when he said that, me and Mal are just laughing. Honestly, I feel like at this point in the show, half the time I'm just watching to see what Vegeta says. Like, Vegeta is probably one of the best characters, if not the best character in Dragon Ball Z. As the show goes on, there's like more and more characters, so he gets less screen time. Yeah. But some of the stuff now that comes out of his mouth is just gold. It's just amazing because like we're in time of peace, so like he's not like trying to fight anybody, but whenever they cut to him, it'd be like, you know, "We should just kill them." You know, it's just really off the wall, but it's great. He might be my favorite character because of that. Anyway.
So Videl and Goten are training with Gohan to fly. And he's like, alright, well, this is how you do it. And Goten, like, gets it right away. And Videl, like, takes, like, all day to get it. And she finally, like, is kind of frustrated. And he goes, it takes a lot of time, it takes some people a lot of time. And she goes, really? And then, like, Goten's, like, doing figure eights above their head.
But they learn to fly. There's some weird tension between Chi-Chi and Videl for a little bit, but then that kind of passes relatively quickly.
Well, she realizes Videl is kind of like, her and Gohan kind of have the hots for each other, even if they don't realize it yet. And she realizes, like, Videl has money. Yeah,
and when she realizes Videl has money, then she's like, what a great person. You should
You're gonna marry my son.
You guys should get married. Then they find out there's a World Martial Arts Tournament.
Yeah, Videl's the one who's like, there's a tournament. You need to enter or else I'm gonna tell everyone or something. So he's like, okay. So he goes and tells Krillin and his wife.
Yeah,
17.
Which is another thing.
Oh yeah, I forgot that.
Krillin and Android 18 are now married and have a kid.
Yeah.
And the story glosses over that real quick. Because someone says something. I think it's when Goku arrives later and he's like, how'd you have a kid? And they explain it, but they explain it briefly. They're like, well, she was mostly human to begin with. So that's how that works. And it's like, all right, let's not ask any more questions about that.
And they named her Marin.
Huh?
They named her Marin, which is Krillin's old girlfriend that he was going to, like, propose to.
Yeah. Now, I'm not 100% sure. Someone will have to correct me on this. I don't think Marin, the girlfriend, was in the manga. But that's still weird. Yeah. That's still really, really weird. Why would they, if they were doing that, then why would they name the girlfriend Marin? Like, I don't, it's weird because that means that Krillin named his daughter after his old girlfriend. And that's really strange. Anyway. So, Krillin and 18 are like, we'll go in the tournament. Sure, cool. And then, Gohan goes to see Bulma, and Vegeta's like, yeah, I'm gonna go in the tournament. Yeah. And Trunks is like, me too. And then, suddenly, out of heaven, comes Goku's voice. And he's like, that sounds like fun. And I think I'll do that. And I know I haven't spoken to you in 7 years, Gohan, and I am objectively the worst father in television history. But hey, I think I'll show up for a day. And sounds like fun. Instead of spending the day with you, I think I'll fight. That sounds great. And then, of course, Vegeta is super excited. Kakarot, you are coming back? I know I can fight you. So that's that. And then Goten's gonna fight, and Chi-Chi's only okay with it because there's prize money, and that can pay for college. Yeah, Chi-Chi apparently has, like, no source of income since Goku has been dead. Even though her dad is a king? Yeah, her dad is a king, and also, what did Goku ever do to bring in money anyway? It's all very confusing, but, yeah, apparently she's like, we have no money and we're poor, so you have to win this tournament or we won't have any money to live on. And I mean, there's so many questions, like, what have you been living on up to this point? Like, it's been 7 years, you had a kid and have raised the kid. I mean, I understand they kind of live, like, out in the country type thing, but, like, there's a lot of questions there that I feel are legitimate questions. But anyway, so the tournament basically starts. Yep. And they get there, and Goku shows up, and Baba has brought him there. And she's like, you only have by the stroke of midnight, or you'll turn into a pumpkin. She doesn't actually say that. We just are on cue. Yeah, but Goku gets to come back. Goku learns that he has a kid. He's like, there's a little me behind you, Chi-Chi. Once again, this is all really bizarre because from the impression I get from, like, King Kai's powers, at any time Goku can just touch King Kai and, like, check out what's going on Earth or talk to them. And he suddenly knows there's a tournament going on? Is he listening? Yeah, he learns that there's a tournament. But when he gets there, he learns he has a kid. And I'm like, are you serious? Because, like, King Kai should be able to at least know that. Does King Kai, like, find out and it's like, I could tell Goku he has a son, but whatever. It would be funny. Yeah, it'd be funnier if I didn't tell him. He could have told him and then let him talk to his kid. But no, none of that. I mean, to be fair, it is more exciting for, I guess, for the viewer. Yeah. Because you get to see, like, Goku appears and then he's like, oh man, I have another kid. That's cool. I'm the worst father ever. I have another kid. All right. But yeah, they all get to the tournament, and then
they find out there's a junior tournament.
Yeah.
So Trunks and Goten have to be in the junior tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And they're upset about that, especially Trunks, who's like, I could be in the adult tournament.
Yeah, and one of the interesting things is that this year they are not doing any
preliminary matches.
It's just whoever can punch the machine the hardest.
And everyone, like the Z fighters, are like, all right, we're gonna hold back, and we're not gonna become Super Saiyan. You know, we don't want to give our identities away. And is Vegeta first?
No. A few people go.
18's first.
I think 18's first, and then maybe
Krillin's
Krillin.
like, take it easy, and she just pings it, and it goes like higher than their starting point, which is what Mr. Satan hit.
Yeah, Mr. Satan was like 140 or something, and she like barely touches it, and it's like 800, and everyone's like, what? The machine's broken. So all the people just keep going, and they're like trying to barely touch it, which is really fantastic.
And then Vegeta goes, and he just destroys it.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not holding back. But those are like the moments that I'm waiting for. That's because at this point, that's all Vegeta actually does. He's only there as a violent comic relief. But I'm okay with that being his role. Like I'm excited about that, so that's fine. So after Vegeta destroys the thing, junior tournament starts, and
it's a bunch of weakling children.
Yeah, it's like kids hitting each other and then crying over it and weird stuff like that.
And they're picking on Goten and Trunks, and they're like, "Ooh, babies," because they're so small. Mm-hmm. Like, we're gonna destroy you.
I honestly, one of the reasons this season is so good is it does feel like, in a way, completely different, but also still firmly grounded in Dragon Ball. One of the reasons it feels so good is that there is no huge major threat, and everyone feels strong. Mm-hmm. I feel like throughout all of Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, some of the greatest moments are when the characters feel powerful to the point where it's almost laughable for everyone else. Mm-hmm. And it feels like that the entire time because at the beginning, looking past Otherworld Tournament, you've got, Gohan, who is the strongest person ever, and he's dealing with like crime with no problem, and Mr. Satan thinks he's laughable, and Videl thinks he's that Great Saiyaman is laughable, or it's a trick or whatever, but he's super powerful. Then you learn that the kids are super powerful. Mm-hmm. Vegeta's been training. Then they go to the tournament and they're all just barely touching the thing, and it's going off the scale. Like the entire time, everyone feels super powerful. And then Goten and Trunks have to fight these other kids, and you know that they're going to win. Mm-hmm. Especially once you start seeing what the other kids do, and you're like, oh my god, this is going to be great. And it is. It's hilarious, and it's really fun. I think that's what makes the season so good.
So it comes down to Goten and Trunks in the final, and they're like, well, they set up some rules for each other. Mm-hmm. Like, you can't be Super Saiyan, and I forget their other rule.
Yeah, they said you're not supposed to become Super Saiyan, and then at one point Trunks says he's going to use only one arm.
Yeah.
But they end up breaking their own rules, and
Trunks ends up winning.
Yeah.
But he makes it okay. He's like, you can have 3 of my toys.
Yeah, and that's all that Goten cared about in the first place. It was like he just wanted to get toys, so that was easy. And Trunks, Goten makes a comment that Trunks' family is the richest family in the entire world, which I think is the first time that's ever stated, but is also, I guess, believable. Because everyone in the world uses the stuff that his family makes. So then that tournament ends. The other tournament begins.
Trunks and Goten knock someone out and dress up as him to enter as that person.
Because they really want to be a part of the adult tournament.
So they make a little totem pole where Trunks sits on Goten's shoulders.
So they get into the tournament that way. And then, honestly, at that point, everything kind of goes awry. Like, the tournament begins, but then very quickly, like, after a match or two, then the tournament stops.
Yeah.
There's a creepy guy that appears, and people aren't really sure who he is, and he has to fight Piccolo, and when he does, Piccolo is frozen and gives up, and everyone's like, what the crap's going on? And then the Spopovich, which is the big guy with the emerald on his head, like, he fights Videl, I think,
And she's like doing pretty good, but then he just takes her out.
He can't be killed.
Yeah.
Which is the thing. Like he like she breaks his neck at some point, and then he just pulls his neck and spins back around. So a lot of stuff happens, but basically the tournament ends.
Well, the last match of the first round is supposed to be Vegeta and Goku.
Yeah, and he's really upset that
yeah, because it ends.
that's ending. But basically, the one creepy guy reveals himself as the Supreme Kai, the ruler of the Grand Kais. So he's like the top dog, and he explains that there's some stuff going down. Let them suck up Gohan's power, and everything will be explained. And honestly, the season ends pretty abruptly.
Yeah.
It's the end of two sagas. It's the end of the Great Saiyaman saga and the World Tournament saga, but it still feels like it ends, pretty abruptly. But basically what happens is they learn that there's some evil power going on because they're trying to resurrect Majin Buu, and they needed to get his power to do that. And
there was a wizard named Bibbidi, and
there's
he had a
Bibbidi
son
and
named
Bobbidi. Yes, and Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo. The names. So that all happens, and the Supreme Kai let it happen because they need to follow them to figure out where the guy is. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming you got that,
I got that
out of the context. And then it just ends. So that was a long explanation, but these videos usually are. That said, this is the best season, I think. I think objectively, it's the best. I don't think it has the best fighting. I don't think it has the best lines or necessarily in the show, but just as a whole, it feels fun.
Yeah.
It feels so. It's so fun. But it's one of those things that you couldn't just pick this up at the video store and watch it and get that out of it. But if you've seen all of Dragon Ball and 6 seasons of Dragon Ball Z and you've watched it up to this point, this season is really good.
Yeah. You needed this break.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that's the only... I think out of all of the seasons of Dragon Ball Z, that one stands alone like that. Because there are some bits and pieces of like filler in other seasons, but there's nothing that feels like that.
Yeah.
Like that's an entire season of fun, and that's really enjoyable. I think there's a lot of things that contribute to it too, because not only is it lighthearted, but like you're introduced to like all these new characters.
Yeah.
Like the introduction of Goten is a big deal. You learn that Mr. Satan actually has a far more prominent role continued than you ever thought. Mm-hmm. You get to meet his daughter. Yeah, it's great. It's really, really great. I really liked this season a lot.
Too.
Anyway, that's it for today. We ask that you discuss, season 7, which is there's 2 sagas, Great Saiyaman and World Tournament. And if you want to discuss stuff before that, that's fine. Just don't go past that. So here's the question now.
Yeah.
What happens next?
Boo.
Boo. They're flying off to go meet them.
Yeah.
Do you have any inkling of any like events or possibilities of things that could happen? Now,
I've seen like Dragon Ball Z figurines at the game store we go to.
That's how Mal knows the characters.
So I think, I'm not actually 100% sure on this, that Boo is the pink one that looks like frosting. He literally looks like a puddle of frosting with legs.
Okay.
That's what I think. I might be wrong. That may be the wizard.
Okay. I'm not going to confirm anything for you. I will say that up to this point, I've been... I think up through Cell, I was like, yeah, I remember this stuff. And then for this saga, I wasn't. Like, this entire season, I was like, I know some of the events. Like, I know the main thing. I know that Gohan is Great Saiyaman. But other than that, like, it was all very wishy-washy. And now moving into the Buu saga, there's like 2 major things that happen that I know that happened. And otherwise, I'm like, it's all new. So it's exciting because it's going to feel like a new show for me. Right here at the end.
Yeah.
Anyway, I say at the end, but there's still like 80 episodes. There's still a sizable chunk of Dragon Ball left, and it's all about Majin Buu. Anyway, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Discuss Dragon Ball Z, and we'll keep watching. We have a little bit left, and it gets weird. It It gets really weird. Like, for all of the weird oddities that are in Dragon Ball Z, I feel like the last 2 seasons, there's some really crazy, wacky stuff that starts happening. So, you're going to experience some fun stuff. Let's meet back tomorrow, shall we?